Welcome to Beck Flintlocks. While in Philadelphia, I took it upon myself to enjoy some of the history.
It's definitely an awesome feeling to walk the same area where our founding fathers walked, when likely the same cobblestones still embedded in the roadway here in Philadelphia at Independence Hall.
It's a sacred place that transcends history. Originally, it was built as the state house for the Pennsylvania colony. It was awesome to be inside Independence Hall and observe the Gregorian style of architecture in the woodworking. The original location of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, as well as the Pennsylvania legislature, where the Declaration of Independence was signed, where our founding fathers mutually pledged to each other their lives, fortunes, and their sacred honor, signing the Declaration of Independence. On the top floor of the building was the Governor's Hall, and Pennsylvania's first governor was William Penn. In the steeple of the building would be hung the Liberty Bell, inscribed with a profound message from Leviticus 25:10, proclaim liberty throughout all the land, unto all the inhabitants thereof. Right next door is Carpenter's Hall. Carpenter's Hall is the official birthplace of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it was a key meeting place for figures at that time. It was also the first craft guild within the country, where artisans of carpentry would meet and assemble. Inside the hall is a small museum of 18th century carpenter tools. But what is most unique about the location is where the Continental Congress first assembled and met. The next stop on my list was the American Revolution Museum, walking through the early history of Pennsylvania under King George's command, and eventually the uprising of the colonists who were frustrated with the king. Fights and brawls began to break out between the British and the American colonists. These small conflicts led to the shot heard round the world, and conflicts between Minutemen and regular British Army began to spark. At that time, the colonists were going against the British Empire, who had the strongest and best equipped military in the world. While walking through the museum, you really get a sense of the power the British military had, from their finely made officer pistols to their Brown Bess muskets that would volley balls at an approaching army. It's quite amazing at the detail and skill that was put into these rifles and how many the British were able to produce to fund their army. The museum also has an original Ferguson Rifle. Ferguson was fascinated by the American rifleman and used his skill to create his own rifle. Now about those riflemen and Minutemen, they were farmers and everyday citizens who took their hunting rifles, smooth rifles, or muskets, or whatever they had to rally against the British Army. Here you can see two examples of some early Jaegers. George Washington would request riflemen from Pennsylvania and got 10 regiments. The riflemen wore hunting shirts and frocks. They weren't nearly as well equipped or uniformed as the British military, grabbing whatever they had to muster to join and support the revolution. One of the coolest items in the museum was an original rifle made by Christian Oerter from Christian Springs, Pennsylvania in 1775. The museum displays it as an item that would have been carried by a rifleman who was joining the ranks to fight in the revolution. The rifle is a beautiful example of Christian Oerter's work with his silver wire inlay and is inscribed and dated on the barrel. Also, there is an amazing display of long rifles in the museum showing the various types, from rifles with brass patch boxes, wood patch boxes, and smooth rifles. The exhibit is interactive with the display that is touchscreen, where you can zoom and scroll and see the weapons from various sides, as well as read information on the rifles. Honestly, I could spend hours reading about these guns and looking at the detailed images on the display. It was really informative, and I really enjoyed it. The museum has some beautiful pieces to see and is really worth your time if you want to see original pieces. The museum also has a saber owned by George Washington that was used during the Revolutionary War, as well as beautiful powder horn with the famous saying, "Liberty or Death." Recreation wax figures really make you feel as if you're there at the Revolution. Also check out the gift shop. Then it was off to L. Fifth's Alley, dated to 1736. It is the oldest continually occupied street in America. Walking along that cobblestone path, I felt as if I was in the 1770s. I was ready and wild to fight the American Revolution, and I would surely bring a rifle, without a doubt, one that I built. Walking the path of our ancestors, we take note of the sacrifices they made, and we remember why they did it, and we must continue those values in our own lives. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.